Hey everybody, welcome to FF Uncensored. Don't every time he makes these faces, I don't even know what to do with you. So we have been talking about macros, and today we are going to switch it up a little bit, and we are going to talk about
protein Poptarts.
Okay, we're not really going to talk just about protein Pop-Tarts, but
We might though. We might spend a lot of time talking about protein Pop-Tarts.
I don't think we'll spend that much time, but we're going to talk about products that are displayed as health foods and some feedback on them. Right? Is that what we're going to call this?
Absolutely. It's foods that mask themselves as health foods or use fun marketing terms in order to convince you that you should buy this thing and it's going to make you the healthiest. So one example, and we're going to get into protein Pop-Tarts here in a second, but one that always comes to mind for me is salad dressings. Salad dressings are notorious, absolutely notorious for deceptive marketing. When I say deceptive marketing, I mean on the front of the bottle, it says made with extra virgin olive oil. And then when you turn it over and look at the ingredients, you see soybean oil, cottonseed oil, a few other oils, and then you see extra virgin olive oil coming in a little late to the party. So yes, it is made with some, maybe a little bit extra virgin olive oil, but it is not made only of extra virgin olive oil. And so you see this time and time again with marketing where they might put a little bit of a better quality product or better quality ingredient in a product. But you cannot lie on a label. And so they have to disclose their deceptive marketing on the label. So moral of the story is flip stuff over to look at the ingredient list. And remember, the first thing on the ingredient list means it's the most, right? It makes up the majority of what's in said product, right? And then the last thing on the ingredient list is the smallest. So that's why a lot of times you'll see spices that are last because they're really small, right? And you see things like oils, you see things like sugars, you see things like wheat or other kind of refined grains early on because that makes up the majority of the product. So salad dressings are always notorious for flip the thing over and look at the actual label.
Yep.
What would be another one that you have seen or that comes to mind?
Okay, this is just a ridiculous one. But lately, what I have seen on the candy bar aisle, they are now promoting candy bars as vegan. Like Reese's is vegan, like it's vegan Reese's or whatever. Reese's have always and forever been vegan. Just so you guys know, nothing about them has changed. They are forever vegan, but they're using these like popular health terms to sell them. So like vegan, keto, paleo, like they're putting all these words on them for products that have always been these things, but it's a marketing tactic. It doesn't mean they've made Reese's any better. Like, hey, if you like Reese's, cool, but I mean, like, chocolate and peanut butter do not belong together. Do not argue with me on this one. But
did you say chocolate and peanut butter don't belong together?
Bet.
Like, did you just follow it up with bet?
I'm cool. I am hip and cool, and if you didn't know. So anyways, they are marketing stuff like that. But like popular health terms like that. So that is one that just catches my eye every time I see it. I like roll my eyes at it. But keto is another one that people will be like, oh, this is keto, so this is healthy. And remember, if you're eating keto products, it's a higher fat content in those foods. So if you're eating keto products, but you're still eating a lot of carbs, you're probably over consuming calories. And that's where that marketing stuff can like really get people. But that's like always a big one. Those are like the big ones for me that always make me laugh.
I love the products that are like it's like an olive oil and it'll say like sugar free. Like, yeah, it is sugar free. It's olive oil. If there was sugar in it, we'd have an issue. Or like heavy sugar products and they'll say fat free, right? Because it's just pure sugar. Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, that's how it works. That's how we make these things.
So I guess the moral of anything, if you learn anything from what we talk about today, it is do not look at the front of the package, look at the back of the package. So if you don't believe claims that are on the front, right, flip that thing over and read the ingredients. And my guess is if you read more ingredients, you're going to just make better choices, right? Because when we read the ingredients, there would be things that surprise me, and I've seen pretty much all. I'm like, oh, really? That's what's in this thing? Wow, very interesting.
So I always think it's interesting, like you brought up salad dressings. The salad dressings that have 0 calories, like food that we consume has calories. Like it should. Everything, like it really should have calories. So if you're consuming something like a food product, like a salad dressing that should have at least some version of oils in it or something, it should have probably calories. So like just know food that you are eating and consuming should have calories, and that's okay.
Yeah, calories are good. Like we need calories. Like makes our body work.
Yep.
It's when we have too many calories, that then becomes an issue, right?
Yep.
So wanted to bring up protein Pop-Tarts because that was actually what we had talked about. And I really hadn't ever heard of protein Pop-Tarts, but I think Aaron had posted it. And so I just did a quick little
So hold on.
search.
You need to look up the legend. Like if you're looking
That's the
for
one. It's
protein Pop-Tarts, it has got to be legendary.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I think. They're the only ones.
They've got all the flavors.
All right.
The flavors.
So I'm gonna share my protein Pop-Tart screen. So
Okay.
so people can kind of see what I'm looking at. So they've got lots of protein pastries, by the way.
Pick up the good flavor.
A strawberry. Strawberry is like classic Pop-Tart flavor that everybody enjoys.
Okay, I agree, but oh my god, they have a red velvet and it is.
So all right, so I have nothing. First off, I have nothing against Pop-Tarts. I think Pop-Tarts are great. Like in the right, like I'm not a huge fan of like all the dyes and that kind of stuff, but like sugar and carbs at the right time, like after a workout when my body's like primed to suck things up, like absolutely.
And let's just say, like, I have a nostalgic feel with Pop-Tarts. But
Mm-hmm.
I will also say I don't buy Pop-Tarts and keep them in my house. Like when I go to a friend's house and they buy Pop-Tarts for their kids, I might eat some Pop-Tarts, but that's my version of eating Pop-Tarts these days in my adult life.
So let's break down this label a little bit so this is, all right, we'll look at the front of it first, which I don't think is, here we'll look at the marketing, right? Looks like a delicious Pop-Tart. We've got 20 grams of protein highlighted. We've got 4 grams of net carbs, which essentially means your carbs minus your fiber equals
just
your net carbs, right?
But which tells me that this probably has a good amount of fiber in it too, which we can have a whole nother conversation about fiber, but that tells me this is actually a product that has fiber in it.
So let's take a look at it. Legendary foods, protein, pastry, strawberry. Let's first look at the nutrition facts, just so we can kind of look at what we're dealing with. 8 grams of fat. We've got 20.
Hold on. So let's go to the very top part where it says serving size, 1 pastry. And I don't know that, I don't remember off the top of my head. Does this package have 1 pastry or does it have 2 pastries in it?
That's a good question. I would think these are pretty big, so I would think that there's 1 pastry per pack.
Okay.
Not like normal Pop-Tarts that come in pairs.
Yes, and I think that when you actually look at the Pop-Tart box, it's off of 1 pastry.
So that's always a good thing, right? Is to look at what is this serving size, because that's another way that we can manipulate labels.
Leave it like that so I can read all the stuff. Thank you.
So we want to look at serving size because that will give us the label, because how we can manipulate labels too is making it a smaller serving size so it looks and feels like a lower calorie food. But really, who eats that small of a serving? When we look at it and you're like, oh, I actually eat 4 servings. So it's not 180 calories. It's 180 times 4, which is 720 calories.
Good job. Did you use that thinking about like snowboarding and doing turns?
No, but that would be an interesting way to think about it.
That's literally the exact
I did 180 times 2, which is 320 times 2, or wait, it's 360 times 2, which is 720. That's how I got to it.
Oh, I totally went, how many spins is that?
So, all right. So when we look down, so calories 180. So for like call this a snack, right? Not terrible. From like, we like to keep snacks like under that 200 mark, right? If we are going to snack. So 180 solid there. Looking down, 8 grams of fat, not terrible. Looks like here, not a lot of it is coming from saturated fat, which we can, when we look at the label, we'll explain where that's coming from. And then going down the line, sodium, a little bit, not a ton. So we have 22 grams of carbs, and they highlighted it, right? They highlighted it because they wanted to show you this little formula down on the bottom, which is 22 grams of carbs, 9 grams of fiber. And then down here you see erythritol, which is a sugar alcohol.
Okay. So
this is a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
This is a lot of sugar alcohol. Like
a lot. Yes.
And I will say that people can be very sensitive to this and very GI reactive to this much erythritol. So like to me that's like the biggest thing out of so far everything that I've seen, that I'm like, ooh, I know that I won't do well with that much. Like,
yeah. So you have to know your body. Some people can handle it well, some people can't. But it is a way that that's a way for manufacturers to get sugar out of things and still keep it sweet. They'll use things like xylitol, erythritol, sorbitol, anything that ends in the TOL, or is it just OL? TOL or OL?
I think it's TOL, but I could be wrong.
But that's the post fix that tells you that it's a sugar alcohol. So we're like, all right, cool. Sugar alcohol, a lot of it. Am I sensitive? Yes or no? I am. Cool. Put it back on the shelf. No. Okay, cool. And then protein, 20 grams of protein. Like that's actually really good. Like that's
and what I like to look at is how much percentage of the snack is made with protein. Like how much of the percentage of the snack is protein. That's how you can tell if you have a pretty decent snack.
So for this, it'd be about 40%. Like 40% of the calories are coming from protein.
That's a pretty good snack. Like I don't
and,
like that's
and
not a bad.
You could probably even argue that it's higher percentage because if we take out the fiber and we take out our erythritol, the things that aren't necessarily calories but are counted in carbohydrates, it may even be higher. So like high protein snack, very high protein snack. Cool, sweet. So then it's going to the ingredient list. And so first things we see protein blend, which tells us we've got a few casein type proteins and we have some isolates of stuff coming from milk right there. And then ingredient 2 is erythritol. And then we get into polydextrose oil. Polydextrose.
No, polydextrose, which is an OSE, which means it's a sugar of some form.
Yep. So that's probably where your total sugars ish comes into, or where the rest of your carbs are coming from. So it's small. Like we've gotten out of the smaller portion. That's going to be like a couple grams. And then we've got contains one or more of the following. I always like these ones because it's kind of like whatever oil is cheapest at the time of manufacturing, that's what's going to be in it. It's either high oleic sunflower oil, high oleic safflower oil, or palm oil. This is where you get the rest of your fats, and they're most likely polyunsaturated fats.
Good wellly sourced palm oil is actually one of the better fat options.
But we don't know what's in it. It's a guess. One of those three, right?
Or all three.
Or all three, right? Or a combination. I don't know. Then we've got water, collagen peptides, which is interesting why they added those in. And they don't really market it anywhere. So I wonder if that was more of a
probably to boost the protein.
Boost the protein a little bit more.
Remember, collagen is going to be like a
binder.
Exactly. So it could be what's helping hold or do the inside of the Pop-Tart, the stuffing.
Keeping the stuffing in there.
Yeah.
Then we've got sunflower lecithin, again, kind of like our binder and emulsifier. And then natural flavors, which is a term manufacturers can use to just include a bunch of stuff. It's like it's their secrets. Their secrets are under natural flavors, which has sometimes can take a lot of flack because there can be some kind of gnarly stuff in that. Yep. And then we've got 2% or less of like strawberry extract, cellulose, sea salt, baking soda, citric acid, xanthan gum, other gums, modified cellulose, red number 40, sucralose. So we get into some artificial sweeteners in here as well. Sucrose, fatty acid esters, yellow number 5, blue number 1, yellow number 6, and some other stuff that helps with things. Yes. So if we had to define something, like if we were talking about processed foods, this is a good example of a nice solid processed food, right? We got a lot of dyes, we got a lot of colors, we got a lot of gums, we got our sugars, fats, all that kind of stuff. And so is this probably better than a normal Pop-Tart? I would argue yes, because a normal Pop-Tart is probably going to have very similar dyes and colors and sugars and that kind of stuff. It's lower in sugar, it's higher in protein, right? So it could be a nice alternative, right? And then also we have to look at like a price point, right? And this is going to run you, I need to go out of that, $26 for 8. Woo. So we're like a little over $3 a pop for a Pop-Tart. Okay. That's what it looks like, the gooey inside. Looks like 10 seconds in there.
It does not look like that unless you actually make it in the microwave, just so you guys all know. It doesn't do that if you toast them in the toaster. Only if you do that in the microwave, that's the only way they'll look like that. Okay. So, as someone who looks at snacks and talks a lot with people's nutrition, I think that it depends what your goals are and how you plan on using something like this, or in general. And I think like after we kind of go through this, let's talk about like how we pick the products that we sell at FF and why we pick the ones we do, because I think this will explain the difference. If your goal is to hit a protein goal and you are struggling with this and you needed something that you wanted something like this could be a tool. Like, I don't want to like say that like I would never
Yep.
do it. I mean, I've eaten them myself. Like sometimes
Right.
I want a freaking Pop-Tart and I'm at the gym and I'm like, oh, well, I can have this and it has 20 grams of protein. Like, so it can be not a great decision. I personally try and stay away from stuff that, like, when I read the ingredient list and it has a bunch of food coloring in it, like that is something I do personally try and just steer a little clear of. I wouldn't buy a box and keep them in my house because Zach would just eat them like real Pop Tarts. So we need like 2 or 3 at the same time. And I'd be like, that was not what they're there for. And that was a lot of fiber to just eat for one person. Maybe not one of your, especially with like other foods that he eats that has fiber. So like maybe not one of our better decisions, but it does have a lot of fiber. Most people do not get enough fiber. We should be having anywhere from, for women, 20 to 25 grams and men 25 to 30 grams. 9 grams of fiber in a food. That's a lot. So like it really depends on what your goals are. If you need something to help you hit a protein goal and make sure you're getting enough fiber, that could be a tool.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, my first tool is going to be whole food is ideal. And I would also say a protein shake would be a better option to hit a protein goal than like a bar. But like sometimes you just want one and that it can be completely okay. So I think it can be a good in the arsenal, on like good, better, and best. I think it's going to be good, better than having like a regular Pop-Tart, but it's not going to be like the best ultimate health option or even the best protein option for people. How about that?
Yeah, I think, and like everything we talk about, it depends, right? It depends on your specific situation. So it's weighing kind of all of those things. And like we actually just talked about, like if it's not like in your everyday rotation, like I don't really care. Like, to
So,
be
but here's
honest,
the thing. I'm at the gas station and I need a snack and I see one. I might buy one. I mean, that'd be, I mean, I've been at other gyms and they've been in gyms and I bought a single one to have one. But like, I'm at the gas station. I need a snack. I promise you that that bar with 20 grams of protein is going to be better than a candy bar or nerd clusters.
right.
Like,
So
you know,
maybe that would be a good future episode, is good gas station foods,
ooh, I like it.
because that comes up a lot. And I think there are ways, gas stations have really improved. And I think there's ways that you can still kind of keep it on the straight and narrow when you're at a gas station. It just takes a little bit of thinking and searching, but you can do it. I promise.
Yeah.
So right, like, so there's, if we take anything out of today, number one is read labels, look at ingredients. Like we just kind of went through a label for you right now and kind of talk through what it looks like, how you can think about something, right? And number two is it depends, right? We have to think about something in, does this fit into what I'm trying to do, right? Is this just a one time or an infrequent indulgence? Cool. Like I don't care. Like eat straight sugar out of like the sugar bin. Like it does, like if you do that, I don't know, like maybe you're really on a fix for some sugar or something like. So I think we place way too much emphasis on the every once in a whiles and not enough emphasis on the everyday. So you're going to make 99% of the progress, let's say not 99, 90% of the progress on dialing in the boring meals.
What do
Boring
you do for breakfast every
everyday
day?
lunch.
Not like I went out for brunch and I had this, but like what did
Right.
you eat for breakfast all week long?
Right.
Like
And
that's going to be bigger.
find the big, focus on the big rocks, put the energy into the big rocks, and then live the other places the way that you want to live. If you have a nostalgia for Pop-Tarts, like awesome. Like if you are a kid that grew up in the 80s and 90s, you probably have a nostalgia for Pop-Tarts because it was like in your cabinets, right? Okay, I had a ton of Pop-Tarts growing up, right? It was just like cool. And so yeah, so everything is in context, but just like understand
I
labels,
mean,
educate yourself
and the
on
best part of
labels.
being a kid it was going to your friends' houses to see what flavor Pop Tarts their parents keep at their house.
Right.
Like I don't know what.
Some have the s'mores, some have the strawberry, some have. I think there's a person. I don't know if this is, if she's like IG famous, but she has people guess. Like I don't know if she has a Pop Tart subscription or anything like that. It's a gym, and then she has like blind, and people have to guess what the flavor of the Pop Tart is. And there's so many like different ones. I don't. I saw it floating
Oh
around
my
somewhere,
god.
but like there's a pop culture around it too, and so um yeah, like anything, there's a spectrum of foods, right? And if we're eating, closer to the whole foods, minimally processed, right, types of stuff, we're probably going to be okay. Like, if we need to fall into a certain diet camp for a period of time to help us dial things in, paleo, keto, clean eating, whatever, like that can be helpful to have some guardrails, or at least give you a little bit of, probably guardrails is the best one. Give you some guardrails on how to make decisions. But there isn't a perfect diet. Like that's just the way it is. Like even though we're all genetically very similar, we're all a little bit different, and so people respond differently to things. So it takes a little bit of experimentation. But
Yes.
what we all agree on is you need enough protein. So make sure you're getting enough protein.
Agreed. Okay, so really quick, Trevor, we're picking products for FF, which you guys,
Oh
I know you
yeah,
guys just
forgot
brought
about
in
that.
just ingredients. Just so like, okay, but for example, we have done some bars at FF. We have
Yeah.
tried the bars. So like right now I'm carrying field bars. I know you guys carry field bars. You guys still have Epic bars in there too?
So we typically look for higher protein, lower sugar, minimally processed ingredients. So we're staying away from dyes. We're trying to stay away from artificial sweeteners. Like it's not conclusive is probably the best way to talk about that kind of stuff. Like you have people that argue there's no issues whatsoever. You have some people that argue there are issues. My thing is if we can find ways to make good products that taste good without them, I would probably lean more towards that, right? Because it's like then I don't necessarily need to worry about is this good or bad. So we try to find products that don't have those kind of things in them. I typically look from a sugar standpoint is I want it to be about 5 grams or less. Like that's the goal. We have some that might creep up into 6 or 7. But like it's trying to minimize the sugar content. And so it's like a majority protein. So really anything we carry, whether it's protein powders, whether it's ready to drinks, we're trying to find ones that aren't overly sweet. They're lower in sugar. But they are also really high in sugar alcohols. And so it's finding that balance with those. So we kind of actually tend to stay away from products that are like date based. Like a bunch of them out there are like they use dates as the number one ingredient, but that just drives up their sugars really high because dates are extremely dense in sugar. And so yeah, I mean that's how we think about things. Is like we're going to do our best to find the absolute best, and that's what we're going to carry because that's what I want to take. So why would I recommend something to people that I don't personally believe in? So that's
I
that.
agree. And that is how we do it.
That's how we do it. So until next week, I think we'll talk about some gas station stuff. I think that'll be fun.
Yep.
Some good foods that you can choose in the gas station, and then go from there.
All right. Till next time, party people.
Cool.